Long ago, in a small village surrounded by thick forests and winding rivers, there lived a man named Victor. He was tall, strong, and known for his dedication. His heart overflowed with love, especially for his beautiful wife, Grace. Their bond was like the morning sun, warm, bright, and full of promise. When Grace became pregnant, Victor was overjoyed. He sang, danced beneath the moonlight, and vowed to love his wife and their unborn child forever. But fate had other plans. Grace died giving birth to their daughter, Amanda. Her death shattered Victor, but when he looked into Amanda's innocent eyes, he found the strength to live again. She became his everything, the light that helped him survive the storm. 6 months after Grace's passing, Victor made a surprising decision. He remarried. The village whispered behind his back, and one day, his closest friend, Daniel, asked him why he moved on so quickly. Victor sighed deeply and said, "Amanda needs a mother. I can't raise her alone. She's just a baby. She needs the warmth only a woman can give." That's how Patricia entered Victor's life. She was striking, with smooth dark skin and eyes that sparkled like river stones. But her beauty masked a cold heart. At first, she acted loving toward Amanda, but her facade faded. "This baby cries too much," she would grumble, covering her ears. "I didn't marry you to become a nurse." Blinded by love and his fear of raising Amanda alone, Victor ignored her cruel remarks. He hoped she would learn to care for Amanda in time. But he was wrong. One hot afternoon, Patricia suggested they visit the river, claiming the fresh air would be good for Amanda. Victor agreed, holding his giggling baby close. They arrived at the river, its waters shimmering under the sunlight. A breeze whispered secrets through the trees. As Victor sat beneath a tree, Patricia smiled, hiding her bitterness. To her, Amanda was nothing more than a burden, a constant reminder of Grace. Suddenly she stood and said sweetly, "Victor, I need some herbs from the bush. Please get them for me. I'll watch Amanda." Trusting her, Victor nodded and disappeared into the forest. The moment his footsteps faded, Patricia's smile vanished. She walked to Amanda, who was playing with her tiny fingers, and without hesitation, lifted the baby and hurled her into the rushing river. Amanda's faint cry vanished beneath the roar of the current. Patricia quickly tore her wrapper, smeared dirt on her face, and began wailing, pretending she had struggled to save the child. Victor came running, herbs in hand, panic written across his face. "What happened?" he shouted. She sobbed. "The river." She slipped from my hands. I tried to save her, but the water was too strong. Victor collapsed, his soul crushed once more. Tears fell freely as he blamed himself. If only he hadn't left. But the river knew the truth. The trees had witnessed the crime, and the spirits of the innocent rarely stay silent. In the days that followed, Victor stopped eating. Sleep evaded him. The house felt like a hollow shell. Patricia pretended to comfort him, but guilt has a way of creeping into one's soul like a shadow that never leaves. Strange things began to happen. At night, Patricia would hear a baby's cry. She would sit up, drenched in sweat, searching, but there was no one. Just silence. Until the next night. One evening, as the full moon hung low in the sky, Victor sat by the river, tears falling silently. Then he heard it, a soft cry, faint yet familiar. His heart pounded as he walked toward the riverbank. Floating gently in the water was Amanda's bracelet, the one Grace had made before her death. Victor picked it up. His hands trembled. The metal dug into his skin as if whispering the truth he didn't want to accept. Patricia's voice echoed in his mind. She slipped from my hands. He returned home, the bracelet clenched in his fist. Patricia sat by the fire, pretending to mend a torn shirt. He entered without a word, walked straight to the table, and dropped the bracelet. "I found this by the river," he said quietly. Patricia's eyes darted to the bracelet. For a brief moment, her face tightened, but she forced a laugh. "And Amanda's the only child in this village who wore a bracelet?" she snapped. "Stop overthinking. Your grief is clouding your mind." Victor rubbed his temples, trying to push the doubt away, but the unease in his heart only deepened. That night he couldn't sleep. The bracelet felt heavy with truth. The next morning, as the sun painted the sky orange, Daniel stormed into Victor's compound, fury in his eyes. "How could you believe her lies?" he shouted. "You think the river just took Amanda? A 6-month-old baby in broad daylight." Victor's face flushed. He stood so quickly that his chair toppled over. "Get out," he roared. "You're jealous because my wife is more beautiful than yours. That's why you fill my head with this nonsense." Daniel clenched his fists. "Jealous? You're a fool, Victor. Blind." They lunged at each other, wrestling on the ground. Neighbors rushed over, trying to pull them apart. But Victor's rage was wild. "You'll never step into my house again," he shouted. Daniel, bruised but defiant, stood and pointed at Patricia, who stood by the doorway, arms folded, a sly smile on her face. "One day, Victor," Daniel hissed, "the truth will hit you harder than my fists ever could. And when it does, I won't be here." With that, he walked away. That night, the cries returned. Soft, haunting. Patricia sat up, her skin damp with sweat. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. Victor turned, his voice cold. "I didn't hear anything." 5 years passed, but the shadow of Amanda's death never left the house. Victor had grown quieter, the sorrow still flickering in his eyes. He buried himself in work, but no effort could seal the crack in his spirit. Patricia, meanwhile, was growing restless. Despite everything, she had not conceived. Every month ended in disappointment. Her fear wasn't born of longing for motherhood. It came from the worry that Victor might marry again. One evening, Patricia sat by the fire, her face streaked with tears. Her sobs filled the small home, and Victor walked over, concerned. "Why are you crying?" he asked. She wiped her face, trying to compose herself. "I'm scared, Victor. What if you leave me because I can't give you a child? What if you find someone younger? Someone who can?" Victor took her hands, his voice soft. "I will never leave you, Patricia. You are my wife. Children or not, I'm here." His words calmed her for a moment, but she knew promises are fragile, easily carried away by life's storms. One hot afternoon, as the sun blazed and the village hummed with activity, Patricia lay under a tree, pretending to be weak. "Victor," she groaned, "I'm too tired to fetch water. Please go to the river for me." Without a word, Victor picked up his calabash and started the walk toward the river. His steps crunching against the dry earth. The earth beneath his feet felt oddly unfamiliar, though the path was one he had walked many times. The air was heavy, as if the trees were holding their breath. When Victor reached the riverbank, he bent to fill his calabash, the water cool and clear, reflecting his weary face. Just as he straightened, a soft voice stopped him. "Sir, please. Can you help me?" He turned swiftly. Standing a few feet away was a small girl, no older than 5. Her curly hair was wild, her clothes torn, and her large brown eyes shimmered with a quiet sorrow that pierced Victor's heart. "Who are you?" he asked, rising slowly. The girl looked down, nervously twisting her fingers. I don't know," she whispered. "I don't remember my name, my village, or my parents. I'm lost." Victor's heart tightened. How could such a small child be alone in this wilderness? He glanced around, hoping someone might come for her, but the riverbank remained silent, the only sounds coming from the flowing water and distant birds. Kneeling before her, he looked into her eyes. "You don't remember anything?" She shook her head, tears beginning to form. Victor sighed, his chest heavy. Amanda's memory rushed back, her gentle giggles, the light in her tiny eyes. The pain of her loss still lived deep within him. But he couldn't leave this child here. "Come with me," he said softly. "I'll take care of you." The girl slipped her small hand into his as though it had always belonged there. With the calabash in one hand and her fingers in the other, Victor walked home. When Patricia saw them approaching, confusion flashed across her face, followed by something colder, jealousy. She forced a smile. "Who is this?" she asked with an exaggerated sweetness. Victor explained what had happened, how he had found the girl alone by the river. "She doesn't remember her name or where she's from. I couldn't just leave her there." Patricia's smile faded into a hard frown, but she said nothing more. That night, Victor gave the girl a small mat near the fire. She curled up quietly, her breath soft and steady. As he watched her sleep, something stirred inside him, a strange sense of peace, as if a long-missing piece had returned. Lying beside him, Patricia stared into the darkness. There was something about the girl, her eyes, her quiet presence, that unsettled her. Days passed, and the girl gradually became part of their home. She rarely spoke, but when she did, her words carried a depth far beyond her age. Her watchful eyes seemed to search for something unseen. Victor grew attached, treating her like his own. He gave her a name, Hope, because she had brought light back into his life. Time moved on, and little Hope became rooted in Victor's world. She was different, quiet, wise, and filled with an energy that soothed him. Though his farm still struggled and the soil remained dry, her presence lightened the burden he carried. One evening, under a sky streaked with orange and purple, Victor sat outside repairing a broken tool. Hope sat quietly beside him. Then she turned and said softly, "Daddy, I don't want you to call me Hope anymore." Victor stopped, puzzled. "Why, my dear? Don't you like the name?" She shook her head slowly, her eyes meeting his. In that moment, he felt as if he were looking into something ancient and familiar, like the reflection of a forgotten memory. "Call me Amanda," she whispered. The tool slipped from his hands and hit the ground with a thud. His heart pounded, a chill spreading through his chest. "What did you say?" "Call me Amanda," she repeated, her voice steady and calm, as if she were simply stating a fact. Victor's breath caught. "Amanda was my daughter's name," he said slowly, his voice barely audible. "She was taken by the river when she was just a baby." "I know," she said gently. "I know everything. I know about the herbs, about Patricia, about what she told you. I know about Daniel and the bracelet." Victor's eyes widened, his body trembling. How do you know this?" The girl placed her hand on his chest, over his heart. "Don't be afraid. I've come back to you. And I've brought blessings. Your land will thrive. You'll be happy again." He stared at her, lost for words. Her voice echoed in his mind long into the night as he sat by the fire, eyes locked on the flames, thoughts tangled in disbelief. The next day, something changed. When Victor reached his farmland, the crops that had long refused to grow now stood tall and green. The soil, once dry and cracked, was dark and rich. He bent down, touching the leaves, awe and confusion battling in his chest. It was impossible. Yet it was real. He rushed home, breathless. Hope was humming softly, as if nothing had happened. "It's true," he gasped. "The crops, they're growing." She smiled. "I told you, Daddy. I brought you blessings." Victor fell to his knees, tears spilling down his face. He held her tightly, overwhelmed with both love and disbelief. Later, he decided to speak to Patricia. He sat for a while, choosing his words carefully. "Patricia," he said slowly, "Hope doesn't want to be called Hope anymore. She asked me to call her Amanda." The moment the name left his lips, Patricia froze. Her face twisted with rage. "That little brat!" she shrieked. "I told you she came to ruin our marriage. How dare she take my baby's name? How dare she mock my grief?" She burst into tears, wailing loudly, then rose and declared, "She must leave. I can't stand her in this house another day." Victor shook his head. "No. She stays. Until I find her real family, she will remain here." Patricia's face turned red with fury. "If you don't send her away, I will leave." Victor looked at her calmly. "You are free to go. You've given me no child. What reason do you have to stay?" Stunned, Patricia's mouth opened, but no words came. Tears filled her eyes again. "So you choose a stranger over me?" she cried. "After everything I've done?" Victor said nothing. His silence answered her more than any words could. She straightened, wiping her face. "I won't leave. But I will make her life here so miserable she'll beg to go." Victor stood, his voice sharp. "Don't try it. If you hurt her, you'll regret ever crossing paths with me." He walked away, leaving Patricia trembling with fury. Victor found Amanda sitting quietly. He knelt beside her. "I want you to know," he said softly, "whatever happens, I'm here for you." She looked up, her eyes calm and steady. "Don't worry, Daddy. I can handle her." Victor froze. How could a 5-year-old speak with such certainty, such quiet power? Her voice carried the weight of something far greater than her age, something that sent a shiver down his spine. The things Amanda said didn't seem to belong to a child. Her calm, firm words created an unease that lingered in the air. The house grew tense in the days that followed. Patricia, consumed by rage and jealousy, made life unbearable. She refused to cook if Amanda was in the room, poured dirty water where the girl sat, and hurled insults every time she passed. Yet Amanda never cried. She moved through the house with quiet resilience, as if none of Patricia's wickedness could reach her. One afternoon Patricia shouted, "This is my house. You don't belong here." Amanda simply turned and replied, "This was mine long before you ever entered it." Patricia froze. Her heart pounded, her skin prickled with something she didn't understand. Fear. That night, she heard strange whispers. Soft baby cries echoed through the darkness. Though the fire burned bright, she felt an unnatural chill. Victor slept peacefully, but Patricia tossed and turned, haunted by the growing dread that Amanda was not just a lost child. The next morning, weighed down by unease, Victor felt he could no longer carry the burden alone. There was only one person he trusted to speak with. Daniel, the friend he had wronged and pushed away in blind loyalty to Patricia. Victor's walk to Daniel's house was slow, his steps heavy with shame. He remembered every harsh word, every insult he'd thrown. When he arrived, Daniel was beneath the old mango tree, sharpening his machete. His face was neutral until he spotted Victor approaching. Then the smile faded. Victor stood still for a moment, battling his pride, then stepped forward. "Daniel, I'm sorry." Daniel didn't respond. He kept sharpening his blade, as though Victor wasn't there. "I was wrong," Victor said, moving closer. "I believed lies. I hurt you when all you did was care." Daniel finally looked up, his gaze cold. "After everything you said, you expect me to welcome you back?" "I deserve your anger," Victor said quietly. "But please, I need my friend back. I was a fool." There was a long pause. Then Daniel stood, let the machete fall, and offered a small smile. "You're lucky I'm a forgiving man." Relief washed over Victor. "Thank you," he said, voice trembling. "Don't thank me yet," Daniel chuckled, slapping his back. "I'm still angry. But I've missed you, you stubborn goat." They laughed together, the bond between them slowly healing. Victor then shared everything: Patricia's cruelty, how Hope had become Amanda, and the strange events that followed. Daniel listened, eyes wide with shock. "You mean to tell me this girl, she just knew things? Things only Amanda would know?" Victor nodded. "I feel it, Daniel. She's not just any girl. She's mine. I don't know how, but she is." Daniel leaned back, stunned. "You've come back to your senses. It's about time." Meanwhile, Patricia paced at home, her mind spinning with fury. Victor's loyalty to Amanda enraged her. Finally, unable to contain it, she burst into Amanda's room and yelled, "You Hope! Come here." Amanda looked up calmly and corrected her. "My name is Amanda. Don't ever call me anything else, you evil woman." Patricia's breath caught. No child had ever spoken to her like that. Her rage exploded. "You came to destroy my home. But you'll regret ever stepping foot in here." Amanda rose slowly, her eyes dark and piercing. "No, you're the one who should be afraid. If you try anything, you won't live to see another day." Patricia's legs weakened. For the first time, she felt true fear. Shaken, she left the room in silence. Without delay, she wrapped herself and rushed to a respected herbalist in a neighboring village. The old man welcomed her quietly. "What troubles you?" Patricia told him everything. How Amanda arrived, her strange words, Victor's change, and her growing fear. The herbalist listened, his face grave. Then he said, "This child is not ordinary. Her spirit is powerful. She carries a purpose, and her place in your home is no accident." Patricia's voice shook. "Is she a witch? A curse sent to ruin me?" "I cannot say what she is," the herbalist replied. "But if you try to harm her, you will face consequences. Spirits like hers do not forgive easily." But Patricia wasn't moved. She stood with burning eyes and declared, "I don't care how powerful she is. I'll make her disappear." The herbalist narrowed his gaze. "Be careful with your tongue, woman." Patricia stormed out, plotting Amanda's downfall. As she walked home, the sky darkened unnaturally, wind whispering through the trees, as if unseen eyes watched every step. But she didn't notice. Her hatred blinded her. Back at Daniel's, Victor and his friend sat quietly. "I've been thinking," Daniel said. "Amanda, or hope. Whoever she is, something's not right. We need real answers. Victor agreed. Let's visit the spiritualist. Maybe she can help. They set out at once. The journey was quiet, the trees tall and whispering. When they arrived, the spiritualist, a wise old woman adorned in beads, greeted them with knowing eyes. Victor explained everything. She listened patiently, then said, "The river holds your answers. Call upon its goddess. She will reveal Amanda's truth." "How do I call her?" Victor asked. "Go alone," she said. "Take a white cloth as offering. Call her name 3 times. She will come." The next morning, Victor followed the instructions. With a white cloth in hand, he stood by the river, heart pounding. He called out, "Goddess of the river," 3 times. The water rippled, the wind stirred. From the river, a beautiful figure emerged. Her body shimmered, her eyes deep as the sea. She was the goddess. Victor fell to his knees. "Please tell me the truth. Who is Amanda?" "She is your daughter," the goddess said. Patricia lied. "She threw Amanda into this river, consumed by hatred. But I saved her. I raised her, and when she turned 5, I returned her to you. Her destiny is great." Tears streamed down Victor's face. "I was blind. I failed her." "You were misled," the goddess said gently. "But know this, Patricia's womb will remain closed forever. Her wickedness has cursed her. Amanda, however, is your gift. Protect her. She carries more than love, she carries power." Victor bowed deeply. "Thank you, Great One." As the goddess vanished and the river stilled, Victor returned home with clarity in his heart. Amanda was waiting. Patricia, pacing nearby, muttered curses under her breath. Amanda stood, voice calm. "Patricia." Patricia turned, snarling. "What do you want now, you cursed child?" "I want the truth," Amanda said firmly. "Confess. Admit what you did." Patricia laughed bitterly. "You're nothing. Just a motherless thing." Amanda's eyes flared. "Don't insult my mother again," she shouted. Then, with a swift motion, she slapped Patricia across the face. But it wasn't an ordinary slap. The moment her hand touched Patricia, everything changed. Patricia screamed, clutching her head, tearing at her hair, stumbling wildly. She ran from the house, barefoot, howling through the village like someone possessed. Villagers watched, stunned, as she shrieked and fled toward the forest. There, among the trees, her screams vanished. No one saw her again. As Victor approached from the river, he met her running mad, falling at his feet. "Forgive me," she wailed. "I lied. I threw Amanda in the river. I was jealous. I hated her." Victor stared in silence, the goddess's words echoing in his mind. He pulled his feet away and walked past her, leaving her crying in the dirt. When he reached home, Amanda stood quietly at the door. Victor rushed to her, dropped to his knees, and embraced her tightly. "I'm sorry, my daughter," he whispered, tears falling. "I promise, I will never leave you again." Amanda smiled gently, hugging him back. "It's okay, Daddy. I will always protect you too." And in that embrace, the pain, the lies, and the betrayal melted away, because love had finally won.